In this video, I'll be showing you guys how to make your own tycoon system in Roblox, completely from scratch. So, I will be putting the model in the description in case you need to copy any of the scripts references, but this is more of a learning experience. But by the end of this video, you guys should have a tycoon system that looks like this. So the player will join. You can see I only have one tycoon in the game right now, but the player will be able to join. They'll get randomly assigned to a tycoon, and they can walk over to these buttons. You'll see like the button goes down, and then the object that is dependent on the button goes up. So whatever you're buying using the button, essentially. So I step on exterior walls come in. Same thing here. All my stuff comes up. So yes, by the end of the video, you should be able to have something like this. But we're gonna go ahead and hop right into it. All right, so I've loaded into a new place. You guys are going to want to make sure that you head over to your game settings as soon as you load in. Make sure that you save your game to Roblox. I'm just gonna call mine YouTube tutorial tycoon, and just go ahead and save that. And as soon as your game is saved, you want to go back into your game settings, and you should have a panel that looks like this. You're going to head over to security and check enable studio access to API services because in a future video, we will be adding a saving system to our tycoon. So we're going to go ahead and save. Now, what we're going to start off by doing is actually adding our tycoons folder. So we're going to have a folder that has all of the tycoon descendants inside of it, or all the tycoon children. So we're gonna go ahead and make this folder. We're gonna call it tycoons. Inside of here, we're gonna make two tycoons. We're gonna make one at first so we can just duplicate it easier. So we're gonna call this one alpha. So it'll go alpha, beta, Charlie, etc., etc. So first thing we're gonna do to our tycoon is we're gonna want to add a spawn for the player who owns the tycoon to spawn at. So well actually here I'll make a little spot for the tycoon to be on first. All right, so I imported my ground, or sorry, I made my ground. Definitely did not import it from the other tycoon system I made. But so we have our little ground area, but you can see the textures overlapping. So I'm just gonna go ahead and delete this base plate texture. We don't really need it anyways. Here, I'll set this to green grass. So you have this nice little area, and then I'm also going to definitely not copy and paste my other spawn location. But anyways, you guys probably get the point. But just you want to make your little tycoon system, put a spawn location, make sure it's just named spawn because I like to shorten the name of it. I mean, you can name it spawn location, but just make sure to update it in the script once we get to that point. And all of the pre-built things that come with your tycoon, I would suggest putting them in a pre-built folder inside of that tycoon, which can be done by clicking the plus and adding a folder. So you should be good to go at this point. So after you design your spawn, how you want it to look, just name it spawn, put it directly inside the alpha folder like this. And if you ever want to select multiple items and move them, you can just hold shift and then do that, then click them all. So we're just gonna put this wherever we want it to be. I'm just gonna put mine in the corner for now. And yep, I guess that's looking good. So now we're gonna actually add the first script, which is gonna run when a player joins the game. So I'm gonna go ahead and add my username to the top of the script, just so if anybody else edits the game, they'll know who made the script. First things first, we're just gonna name the script. We're gonna name this player join, so we know what the script is for. So whenever the player joins, this is the script that's gonna run. It doesn't really matter what the name is because I don't think I'll have any other scripts in the tutorial to be referencing this. But what we're gonna do is add a reference for our tycoons. So we're gonna do local tycoons equals game or workspace dot tycoons. So we can reference tycoons instead of having to type workspace of tycoons every time. And so after we do that, we're gonna do game, or do local players equals local players equals game get service players, and then we're gonna do players dot player added. So it's gonna run this event every time a player joins, and we're connect, and we're gonna make a new function. We're gonna add a player parameter inside of this. Press backspace at the end of this. Press enter, and now we should have this nice little. Okay, so you can see ChatGPT, your AI is just generating this for me, but this is not what we want. So just make sure you have your AI, or just make sure you don't press tab on that on accident. But what we're gonna want to do is have the player be assigned a random tycoon. So how are we gonna do this? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go inside of the tycoon. So we want to assign an owner value to the tycoon. So how do we do that? We're gonna click the plus, insert an object value, and we can see this object value has appeared inside the tycoon folder. So now with this value, we're gonna name this owner, and you can see that it is an object value. Just make sure it's an object value, guys. And then what we're gonna do is set this to the player. So whenever the player joins, it'll set the value to this to the player. Or it'll assign the player to random tycoon. But first, we have to make it actually assign the player random tycoon. So what we're going to do is local assign tycoon equals tycoons. And then we're going to get one of the tycoons. So we're going to do, here, I should probably do workspace.tycoons get children. And then I'll do tycoons 1, and then we'll get the length of tycoons. So the length, so it's basically choosing one of the tycoons based on the length of the tycoons. And for some reason, this is assigning two values to one variable, leaves some values unused. Okay, so I found the issue like 5 seconds later. It's because I forgot to put math.random, so we're just gonna retype this. We're gonna do tycoons math.random. So you want to choose a random one. I don't know how I forgot to do that. Probably because I'm under pressure. I'm trying to do this on the go. But we'll just do one. So it's gonna pick one. It's gonna do first index, and it's gonna go all the way through the length of tycoons. Expected end. Okay, I see the problem. Okay, end. Okay. So now it's picking a randomly assigned tycoon. And then with this tycoon, we are going to assign the owner value to the player. So I'm going to do assign tycoon dot owner dot value equals player. So now, or sorry, equals player. So then we're going to do we're going to just do play, and then I accidentally typed owned. Oops, owner. Okay, then if I press play, and we go into the tycoon folder, owner not Frindow, it's setting it to my player. So now that we've done this, we're going to go back here. And then we're going to do is make it so the player actually spawns on the tycoon spawn point. So what we're going to do is we are going to get the player's character. So we're going to do local character equals players get character. We're just going to do player.character. So now we are getting the player's character. But what we're going to do is just actually make it wait for the player's character to load. So we're going to do player.character added wait. So it's going to wait until the character is added to the game, until the player's character spawns in the game. So we're going to do, once the player's character spawns in the game, we're actually going to set the humanoid root part to the spawn location. So what we're going to do is drop down one line. And also, if you guys don't use this or you're getting like issues with this, you can just do wait3 or task.wait3. That's also an alternative method of that. But anyway, what we're going to do is set the player's humanoid root part to the spawn. So we're going to do character.primary part character set primary part C frame, tycoon or assign tycoon dot spawn dot C frame. So it's gonna set the character's human root part C frame, so like it contains all the rotation values and everything to the spawn location. And so if I run this now, see I spawn at the spawn point. Yeah, I actually just realized that you spawn here by default. So if we uncheck this, and we press play again, you should see that we still spawn there even though the spawn location is disabled. Alright, so now that our player spawns at their assigned tycoon, what we want to do is actually design a button. So I'm just going to copy and paste the one from my other game, which has already been made, but what you want to do is make sure you have a part named base and a part named trigger. So I'm just going to copy and paste one of the buttons. So this is one of my buttons for my other one, and I'm just going to go ahead and delete some of this stuff. So I'm going to delete details right here. And I'm also going to go ahead and delete all of these. Okay, so this is our button. We have a bottom part, and this is named base, and then we have a top part named trigger. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're actually going to add a billboard GUI, so the players can see what they're purchasing and how much it costs. So what we're going to do is go into the trigger. We're going to insert our billboard UI, and we are going to insert a frame into this billboard UI. And we're also going to name this billboard UI details, just so you know what it is when we're referencing it into a script. And we can leave this as frame. And then we're going to go into this frame, and we are going to insert a text label. And we're also going to insert another text label. So one of them is going to be for the name of the item that you're buying. The other one's going to be for price. So we're name this one title, because if we set it to name, then we would be accidentally referencing the name property of this text label, which I'm trying to find. See right here, we'd be referencing this property instead of, or we would be referencing the name of the frame on accident, and we don't want that. So we're gonna click the other one. We're gonna name this one price. All right, so we should have, no, so as you can see, it is currently inside of the button. So what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna select all this. We're gonna insert a screen UI just for the purpose of editing this, and we can paste it into it. And I will leave the link to this plugin in the description. It's called Unit Conversion, but what we're going to do is open this plugin. You can dock it to the side or something. select all of your buttons and scale these. And so once we scale them, you can see that it'll fit on mobile devices now, or somewhat fit. We need to do some adjustments to the UI still. All right, so I'm just gonna put this so it is the size of my entire screen, and I'm going to get the title. And yeah, I think I'm just gonna remake these two labels. Text label, another text label. This one's gonna be called title. This one's gonna be called price. As you can see, they are inside of this now, and we are going to scale them again. All right, so this is my price label. This is my title label. So I'm just gonna scale this out. This can cover like halfway, so we'll cover it like yeah, about like that. Or we can just go here and do that. That's probably easier. And then after we do this, we can go over to text scaled. We can name this button name, and then we can set the font to whatever we want to. Let's see the font I use in the button real quick. I used Oswald. You guys can use whatever font that you want. So I'm just gonna use Oswald for my button, and then I'm going to set the text color, or I'm gonna set the background color to this first of all to like 44, 44, 44. So it's like this kind of like darkish color. And then I'm also just gonna make this transparent, fully transparent background for both of these. And now that I've done that, I'm also going to change this to white, just so it looks better visually. And also, okay, it's already scaled. All right, so the button name will be up here. And then we're going to have the price down here. So we're just going to drag the price so it aligns against this. Scale it all the way across the screen. Scale it down. And then we're going to make this green so it indicates that you're looking at the price. It's just better visually again. So we're going to make this fully green. So we're going to do 0. So 0 red, 255 green, 0 blue. So as you can see, our button is completely green now. We're going to do Oswald, and then it's going to be button price. We're going to do $sign button price. So it's going to show $sign. It's going to show the price of the button. We're just going to go inside of our frame. We're going to add a UI corner to it, and we're also going to add a UI gradient so we can get some shading into this. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the end of this button. You can probably make this slightly darker because you can just drag this down if you want to. But I would probably do like I would do like 180, 180, 180, 180. All right, so I did that, and now I can close out of this. We're also going to rotate this like 45 degrees. And yeah, so I'm just going to drag this right back into my details. Yeah, we can delete the old one now. We don't need that anymore. Drag that into details. And as you can see, it's going to be right inside of here, which we don't want. So we're actually going to go here, and we're going to change the size of this billboard UI first of all. We're going to set it to 1 by 1. And you can see that the price appears up here. It looks kind of weird though, I'm not gonna lie. But we want to make this probably like 2, like that. And then set studs offset to like, okay, 3 is way too high. Let's make it like 1. Okay, 1 is probably better. Let's also make the background transparent just so the player can see through. I'll do like 25% transparent. And see, you can see that we now have a button name and button price above our button. And so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually go inside of the button. We can name this button. We're just gonna name it flooring. So whenever the player buys this button, it's gonna add the flooring to their tycoon or whatever it's gonna be. All right, so what we're gonna do next is we're going to go inside the button. We're gonna make a new folder inside the tycoon. We're gonna call this buttons. We're gonna call it yeah, just call it buttons. And then drag flooring into our buttons folder. So now that flooring is inside the buttons folder. We're gonna insert a number value, and this one is gonna be for price. And then we're gonna get the button title just from the name of the button. So you can add spaces to this, whatever. It doesn't really matter. You can just name it however you want. The button name will not matter. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to go into our buttons, and we're going to add a button handler. Or I guess we could do it in service script service. That might be easier. Here, I'll just do it in buttons. So we're going to go in script. We're going to make a script inside the buttons folder. We're going to call this buttons handler. So we can see in the output if there's any errors, we can see what the error is. We're going to do this. We're going to do local buttons equals script.parent, and then we're going to do buttons, or we're going to do for I button in pairs script.parent get children do. So for each button inside this folder, it's going to run this code. And so what we want to do is if button is a model, because we don't want to accidentally run this code for the script itself because it is also a child of the buttons folder. So we're checking if the button is a model. I'll also do and button find first child price. So it's checking if it is a model and it also finds price, the price variable inside of it. Or yeah, price variable. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to want to check for when the button is touched, so we can purchase the button, obviously. So we're going to do local trigger equals button find first child trigger. So you can see we have trigger inside of here, so we're gonna just check for when the trigger is touched. So we're gonna do trigger.touched connect function, and also we should probably define that this is a base part. So you can see now it says touch, and it shows all the things that we can use for base parts, all the functions and stuff. So now what we're going to do is add a parameter to this, and you can see that you can see other part, base part. So we're going to add a parameter called part. So whatever part is touching the trigger, and we're going to do is if part dot parent find first child humanoid. So we're going to say like the player's leg touches it. We're going to check if the leg's parent has a humanoid inside of it, which determines if it is a, I guess you could say, entity in the game. And so now what we're gonna do is check if, and we're gonna get the player from that humanoid. So we're gonna do local player equals part dot parent. Okay, yeah, that works. And or sorry, local player equals game get service players get player from character part dot parent. We're actually gonna rename this character. So this is the character that touches it. Actually, yeah, player. This is the player. This is the player. Okay. And then what we're going to do is create a cache variable for the player. So what we're going to do is head over to service script service because we want the player to actually have a currency that they can use to purchase buttons. So we're going to go into service script service, and this is we're going to make our player data script. So first things first, I'm just going to add my username to the top, which is what I do every script I make. And then we're going to define data store service. We're going to do local DSS equals game get service data store service. Then we're going to do local cache DS equals game get service. We're going to do DSS get data store. We're going to name this cache DS1. And then we're going to have another player added function. I guess we could add this to player joined. And we'll just keep it separate. It's fine. Doesn't really matter. I guess for performance reasons, you could add it in this function, but I'm just going to make it a separate script. It shouldn't harm performance too much. We're just going to name this data handler. Can I name it data handler, please? Data handler. Okay. You give it players.player added, connect function, player, backspace, drop down a line. Inside of here, we're going to do, yep, that's actually exactly what we're going to do. Okay, local cache equals instance.new or number value. And then cache.name, so we're going to set the name of the variable to cache. We're going to parent it to player. Or actually, we're going to parent it leader stats. So we're going to make a new folder called leader stats. So do local leader stats equals instance.new folder. So the reason we make a leader stats folder is because if we didn't have it, the player's cache wouldn't appear in the top right. But if you actually don't want that to happen, then you can just not name the folder leader stats. So anyway, we're gonna do is leader stats dot parent equals player, and then leader stats dot name equals leader stats. Or if you don't want it to appear in the top right corner, like on the leaderboard, then you can just name it like stats. Or like yeah, you can just name it like stats, player stats, whatever you want it to be called. And then we're actually gonna parent cache to leader stats. And then we're gonna actually drop down a line, do cache.value equals cache ds. We're gonna do cache ds, get data store, or get async, sorry. We're gonna do get async. And the key, we're gonna make it player.userid. So it's gonna get the cache value for that key, which will be the player's user ID. And if the player does not have anything saved to data store, we're going to set it to 0. But I guess what we could also do is do local default cache equals 0. Or we could do like 500 for starting cache ability or default cache. So it'll either get the player's data, existing cache data, or it'll get the default cache because we will be adding the saving system later, which is why we'll be adding this. But I will be adding a Boolean value so you can turn off saving whenever you want to. But anyway, now that we have our cache value set up, we're actually going to go into the button. And okay, so we already have the price variable. We're gonna make this check 250 for testing purposes. We're gonna do I'll also make sure to add a bool value. Call it purchased, Okay, so now what we're gonna do is go inside of the trigger. We're gonna go here. We're gonna do if player dot cache dot value or player dot leader stats dot cache dot value is greater than or equal to the price of the button. So we're gonna get the price value of the button. So we're gonna do button dot price dot value. Then button dot purchase dot value equals true. And we are also going to reduce the player's cache value by the price of the button. So we're gonna do player dot leader stats dot cache dot value minus equals button dot price dot value. So we're subtracting the price of the button from that. And then we also want to add a debounce, or I guess, or just check if the player already has purchased the button, because this variable is useless right now. We're just setting it to true. So what we're gonna do is, so if player, okay, so we can just go here. We can do and not button dot purchase dot value. So if the button is not purchased, so we're just gonna add that line there. So if I touch the button, also one last thing, we're gonna make the button just turn red so we can see that we purchased it. So we're gonna do button dot trigger dot color equals color 3 dot firmware RGB 25500. All right, so it's gonna turn red. So as soon as I touch the button, so I'm gonna join the game. I'll show you the tycoon. And as soon as I touch the button, it should turn red. So as you can see right now, I have 500 cash. So I'm gonna touch the button. It should turn red, and I should have 250. So as you can see, the button has turned. Okay, it looks yellow when I look at it from the top, but you can see that the button has turned red. I have lost my cash, and when I touch it again, nothing happens. So now what we're gonna want to do is make it so what we purchased actually appears. So how are we gonna do this? How are we gonna do this? So we're gonna go into the button. We're gonna make a new value. We're gonna call this um, object, or what should I call this? We should call this variable. Yeah, I'm not really sure. Okay, we'll call it object to purchase. Object to purchase. All right. So whatever object is in here, whatever model is inside is linked to this object value is the one that we will be purchasing. So we're gonna actually add a new folder. We're gonna call this objects or purchases, whatever you want. I'm gonna call it purchases though. And then we are going to go back into our button. We're gonna go back here, or sorry, we're gonna actually make our object first. So what we're gonna do is have the player purchase a metal floor. So we're gonna make a diamond plate, and you're always gonna want to make sure that it is a model. So we are going to make this smoky gray, and then we'll scale it out from there. So just go ahead and scale out your flooring like so. You can see we have our flooring right here. Shrink it down a little bit. All right, let's anchor this. Don't forget to anchor. Group it, and then we're going to name this flooring. We're going to put it into our purchases folder, and we're going to set the primary part to whatever part you think your object should, or whatever part that you think the primary part should be. So I'm just going to make this part the only part in the side of the model. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to go back here, and we're going to make it purchase it. So as soon as I set this, okay, there we go. Okay, this is we're almost at the end of the tutorial, guys. So just hang on. So now what we're gonna do is get the object to purchase, and we're gonna make it appear. And okay, we're gonna want to go to replicated storage, and we're gonna add a new folder called not purchased, and then we're gonna go back into our tycoon. We're gonna add a script. We're gonna call this script tycoon handler. And then I didn't mean to do that. Okay, we're gonna go back here. What the heck am I doing right now? Okay, not Frindow. And then we're going to do um for I purchase in pairs. We're gonna define the tycoon first. So local tycoon equals script.parent because our script is inside of the tycoon. So local tycoon equals script.parent in pairs tycoon dot purchases get children do again if purchase is a model then okay, so we have our purchases right here. We're going to do purchase dot parent equals game get service replicated storage dot not purchase. So at the start of the game, all of the purchases for the tycoon are going to be moved into replicated storage, so the player cannot see them unless they're an exporter, obviously, because they can see replicated storage. I guess we could just move. Let's just put it in server storage instead, guys. Replace this server storage. All right, so There we go. I think that's really all we need to do. I'm gonna go back here and we're going to do button dot object to purchase dot value dot parent. We're gonna make a variable for this. We're gonna do local um object to purchase equal, oh my goodness, equals, highlight this, paste it right there, and do object to purchase dot parent equals tycoon. Okay, we got to define the tycoon in the script too. So we're gonna do local tycoon equals script dot parent dot parent. So our tycoon, so we're inside of the buttons handler right now. So script dot parent dot parent, that would be the alpha, so which is the entire tycoon folder, equals tycoon dot purchases. So it's going to be moved back into the purchases folder because they already purchased it. And so now, finally, when we test the game, we shouldn't see the floor anymore. It should be gone. And when we touch this, oh, there's the floor, and we lost our money. So now we have our first tycoon button, and it actually purchases. Okay, so one last thing, we are actually going to set up the interface for this button, and it shouldn't take but a few seconds. So we're just going to go right here, and then we are going to go right under this trigger line. So we're gonna go right here, trigger details frame. Okay, so we're gonna do local details equals button dot trigger dot details, or we're gonna do dot frame as well. So we're gonna do details dot price or details dot title dot text equals button dot name. We're gonna do details dot price dot text equals button dot price dot value. Sorry, actually we're gonna do dot dot right here. Then we're gonna do dollar sign. Okay, so now we're gonna have the dollar sign in front of the price. And then also we're gonna do is I'm gonna use my comma script. So in case you have a button that costs more than like 1,000, we can actually add commas to it. So I made the script for. Actually, I didn't make the script. I found it on the dev forum. I'm pretty sure. So we're just gonna get this script. I will put it in the description. You guys don't have to do this, but you can do it if you want. So I'm just gonna make this like a function inside of this script. Let me make that lowercase. Let me do local k to get rid of this warning. We're down here. So that is gone. We're going to do while test.wait instead. And okay, so I think there's a problem with this function. Or maybe I'm just dumb. Okay, well, for some reason, the last end statement, I don't think I copied it. But you can see we have our comma function here. So all we're going to do is just wrap the price around the comma function. And then you can see if I set the price of the button to like 1,000 now. We're gonna make it 1,000,000 actually. We're just gonna put that, okay? We're gonna press play. And then if we look at our button, we should see the price with commas. So you see flooring, it's $9,123,000 or $9,123,479. Okay, so that's a kind of expensive for the first button, not gonna lie. So we're gonna set that back to 500. Let's go back to buttons handler. Actually, sorry here, 500 or 250, 250. And if I play test again, here we go, flooring 250. I step on it. There we go. And thank you guys so much for watching. And in the next video, we will be adding animations to this, and we will be adding button dependencies and all of that fun stuff. And in the third or fourth video, I'll be showing you guys how to add data stores. Thank you guys for watching, and if this was helpful and you learned something new, then smash the like button and the subscribe button.